right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor and executive director here, and this is Karie McMullen, the associate executive director here at Free. So good to be with you all tonight in-house. So good to be with you all tonight online. We're glad you're part of this community. To give you the reminder, this is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And as always, there is one thing we don't ever do here, and y'all can shout it out. If you're online, just drop it in the comments or shout it out in your living room or sober living house or wherever you're joining us from. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. We don't do shame. Karie, there's some other things coming up that people might want to know about. Do you want to bring them in on it?
I would absolutely love to. If you are new tonight, welcome. We are so glad that you're here. Please connect with us after the service with either a home team member, which you will hear from shortly, but Erica and David over here, we have welcome bags for you. Inside the welcome bags, you'll find connect cards, ways to get connected onto our mailing list so you never miss an event. You always know the topic for the week. And you just stay connected. You can also find a bag of fresh roasted wagon coffee in there, some of the freshest coffee you will get in the city of Denver. And then also the whole world, because it is roasted here on site by the beautiful Tammy Kennedy. Anyhow, and also you can get the little Breaking the Silence of Addiction bracelet. Also, we have, I'm going to come over here. Do you mind if I cross the stage? And our friends over here are going to give us a little information about the Pride event coming up next week.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erica. This is my husband, David. We're the home team leads for Free as of like a week or so ago. So we're getting into it. But we are going to do a Pride event next Saturday. So it will be DU 945 light rail down to go downtown, and then in between services here, serving like cake and cookies and whatever. So I sent out emails this week to the home team. If you're part of the home team and you didn't get that email, please email me at hometeamhelp@freerecoverycommunity.com so that I can get you added to that email distro. And if you just have questions about the home team or you want to know more about any of the events we're doing, just email home team help and we'll figure it out. Thanks.
Thank you, Erica and David. And we need to find out a way to get cake here every single Saturday night.
Every Saturday.
It just makes life better. Okay, thank you all.
Yes, and we also have on June 24th, we have the job readiness workshops coming. We have worked with Jewish Family Services. They're bringing this, and Mile High is sponsoring it. They're bringing in a different topic each month to our cafe. It's fully free of charge. Each month has a different topic. This particular month, I don't remember the specific title of it, but basically it's a skills assessment. So whether you're currently in a job that you really don't like and you don't find to be your purpose, or you feel kind of lost and you don't really know where to go and you're in between jobs, this is for you. It's basically a skills assessment to figure out what you were born to do and then how to achieve that job. And
can I just add, I know we have a lot of people in our community who have a past. If you have a past, don't let that keep you from being part of this. This is what it's for.
Well, and they address that. So in different workshops, they'll tell you how to, if you had former incarceration or if you had gaps of employment because you had to go seek treatment or DUIs or criminal charges, they will address all of that in the different weeks. So if you have any questions, we can give you, each time we have it, we'll give you the topic, but it's the last Monday of every month.
Yep.
And then we also have coming up the Dynamic Dinner. This is the last scheduled event with the Dynamic Dinner, and that is the third Friday, so it's June 28th. It's at 5 p.m. in the cafe. It's $55, and you get a night of connection with other people who are in recovery, and it's catered by Just Be, so it's a wonderful food community conversation, a way to kind of
And everyone there isn't necessarily in recovery, but it is a sober event.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yes.
I will be there
You'll
this
find that
month.
out
I will
because you're
find
gonna be
out.
there.
Yes, and there's a couple of other. I know the Garrity's are going to be there. Jerome and I will be there, and I know there's a couple of other. I think Monty said he was going on the. Did you change your minds? Come on, Monty. There's still
we'll get
time
him
to
back in.
register.
We'll get him back.
There's still time to register. All right, and our final announcement is July 6th. So on Saturday, July 6th, so in 3 weeks, we are going to have a rest week. We will not be here. There will be no 5 p.m. service. There will be no 7 p.m. service.
You can come and hang out in the parking lot, though, all you want. But no one's going to be here.
But no one will be here. So you can have your own service in the parking lot. But other than that, we will see you the following week after that.
Yes, and we do 2 of these every year. We do the week after Christmas. We take an off week, a rest week, because rest is really important. And 1 week in the summer, we take a rest week. All staff, volunteers, everyone gets a rest week. So that's why we do that.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
All right,
Karie.
thanks.
All right, y'all, the way we get started on a Saturday night here at Free is with celebrations. We lift up the good. We start with the good. Something very profound happens when we celebrate together. God joins with us in the celebration. We get to do this together as a community. Maybe you're celebrating a sobriety anniversary or getting back on the wagon or the new thing happening in your life or in your recovery. And we celebrate it all, so there's nothing too big or too small. We take 3 minutes for this. If you're joining us online, drop the celebrations in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments. We'll join with you there. Mary has a mic on this side. Monty has a mic on this side. Just raise up your hand and give us the good news. We'll take 3 minutes.
Howdy, hey, I'm Saxon. I'm an alcoholic. Celebrating 5 days sober again. I relapsed last weekend.
5 days, that's big, Saxon. We're glad you're here, dude.
And I also want to say Happy Father's Day to y'all.
Yeah, thank you for that, Saxon. Glad you're here.
My name's Layla. I'm celebrating 33 days sober today. I fell off and came back home where I belong. So
Yes, you
thank
do belong here, Layla. We're glad you're here. Welcome back.
Hey, it's Allison. Just celebrating a new job that I get to start tomorrow.
All right. Good luck on the new job. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Cassandra, and I'm celebrating 31 days sober.
31 days, Cassandra. Good job. Congratulations.
My name is Marjorie, and I celebrated 60 days this week.
All right. Happy 60 days. Good to have you here. Congratulations.
Hi, Rebecca, alcoholic addict, and I just hit my 7 months on the 13th.
7 months, Rebecca. Way to go.
Hi, I'm Madison, and I just got back on the wagon of recovery.
Well, welcome back, Madison. Glad you're here.
Hi, Robin, alcoholic, and last Thursday I just celebrated 6 months sober.
All right.
This is only the the first time in my life that I've ever went this long without drinking. So.
There you go. Happy 6 months, Robin. Congratulations.
I'm Jerome, and I just wanted to celebrate the 2nd annual golf tournament happening on Monday. Can't wait to see you there.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. We'll celebrate that, Jerome. Anyone else?
I'm going to take one.
Do it.
I'm Mary. I've been at Free almost 2 years now, and since I've been here, I've been sober, and I became an independent contractor shortly after I came to Free, and I've had so many work blessings, and I just want to celebrate that.
That's beautiful. Way to go, Mary. Congratulations. Anyone else? We got time for one more. You ain't got to be bashful. Going once. All right, here we go. Hold on, we got to say that in the mic.
She has 502 days off alcohol.
502 days sober. Way to go. Congratulations. Okay, thank you, Monty and Mary, for passing mics. Tammy Canaday is going to join me up here. I'll take that one. I'll put it on the... Oh, give it to Karie? You can do that. Yeah. Yeah, give that to Karie. All right. Tammy Canada's joining me up here to join with the online people.
Good evening, guys.
You want to take the first one?
I will.
All right.
Did you hear me and Jerome giggling over there?
No.
We were going to celebrate all the dance moves that we're doing this year. I don't know if you guys missed the TikTok last golf tournament, but there's some.
We had some.
There's some dance moves happening.
So we're going to do the same thing on Monday.
We'll do something like that.
Be prepared, y'all. It's going to be.
And don't
wild.
not come because of it. It'll be fun.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, do you want to take that one?
I'll take this one. Mark Diamond is with us. Mark Diamond
Mark.
Wonder. What up, Mark? He says, celebrating my husband and I are working things out very well. We're working together with our business, and it's really starting to thrive. And I just thank God for Free Recovery Community and my beautiful husband, Sean Patterson, for supporting me and every single way in my recovery. That my mom is doing phenomenal with her falling and breaking her hip, being 83 years old, and showing me that anything is possible if you believe, and celebrated 8 months on my 54th birthday on Wednesday. Happy birthday, Mark. Happy 8 months, buddy. Glad you're with us tonight.
That was a string of goodness. I like it.
Mm-hmm, it was.
Heather says, today is my 8 months, and despite everything being thrown at me, I'm still sober.
18 months, I think.
18 months.
18 months. Way to go, Heather. Congratulations.
Aw, hey, Talisha.
We can go through the hard and stay sober. It's a beautiful thing. Talisha says, my sister Julia took a 27-hour Greyhound bus to us to get her life back. She's detoxing of fentanyl and meth. 4 days clean. So proud of her.
Awesome.
We're celebrating her with you, Talisha. Way to go, Julia.
And Jake says, I picked up 2 years on the 6th, first time since I was 14.
All right, Jake. Happy 2 years, man. Congratulations, buddy. Johnny says, I'm a house manager and peer recovery coach with Authentic Recovery Homes. Nice. My bosses, Kelly and Bree Mahana, had their first kid. Yes, that is a celebration.
Congrats, guys.
Way to go, Kelly and Bree.
That's a cute baby.
Yeah, very cute baby. We saw him on Facebook, Instagram,
I know.
some sort of social media. All right, thank you for joining me up here, Tammy. Well, y'all, we are in the 4th week on this series called Emotions Free to Feel. We're exploring different emotions. Tonight, we are going to explore the emotion of hope. Emotions, hope. So last night, Noelle, our community director here, we celebrated their wedding, her and Mickey. Their wedding was last night, a beautiful celebration. 2 nights ago was the rehearsal and the rehearsal dinner. And at dinner, I sat next to Mickey's 7-year-old son, James. Now, James, he was filled with all sorts of questions for me, because he was just fascinated by my tattoos. And he finally got me in a place where he could ask me all sorts of questions about them. So he asked me about every single tattoo on my body, at least the ones he could see. And we started on this arm, and I explained this arm and the neck. And we finally get down to the hands, and he looks at me and says, why do you have free tattooed on your fingers? Very good question. I thought about it for a moment. I said, well, you know, free has, for many years, it's been a word that has meant a great deal to me. And what I told him was it meant a lot to me. And when I woke up this morning, his question, it kind of stuck with me. Interesting question. Why did I get free tattooed on my knuckles? And as Tammy and I were drinking coffee this morning, I decided I'm going to go back to social media. I'm going to go back to 2018, and I'm going to look at why I got this tattoo, because with many of my tattoos, I've written about them on social media, and I explained the story behind them. So I got this tattoo on my phalanges, on my fingers, on April 12th of 2018. And y'all, it was a time in my life when I felt really hopeless. I felt a bit broken. I felt very devastated. Life had thrown me a curveball. It kind of turned upside down. Here's what I wrote on social media in 2018. I said this: 2018 has brought some rough turns. Nearly 3 months ago, my stepdad, and by the way, let me pause for a moment, because this was April of 2018. Some of you know we started free just a couple of months later in June of 2018 in our backyard. Nearly 3 months ago, my stepdad walked out on my mom, us, his family. No heads up, no signs, nothing, just gone. He's been in my life since I was just a little guy, 6 years old. We were tight. I loved him as a son would love a father. The day he left felt like a death. I remember the day I found out my brother died, and this day felt familiar. That kind of pain is real and deep, and it creeps back up from time to time. 2 nights ago, as we were walking back to the car from the Rockies game, Selah, my 7-year-old daughter, said, "Poppy, I don't think I want to call him Pawpaw anymore." He left his family, just like in the movie Coco. Dang, my heart cracked in that moment. I don't know why. I don't have answers, and honestly, would any sort of answers be sufficient here? Not really. But here's what I do know. Amidst all the pain, the grief, the heartache, the questions, the unknowing, I am free. Free to love, to heal, to let go, to forgive, to stay sober, to not pick up a drink. And that's a big deal. To keep opening my heart to others, even though this deep relationship stuff is risky business. Pain, wounds, scars, they don't have the right to rob you of everything. They don't get to hold all the power. They don't get to keep you from being free. And today, I am free, thanks be to God. That was April 12th of 2018. And this morning when Tammy and I were drinking our coffee together, I was saying to her, man, isn't it interesting? I mean, during a season in my life when I just felt this sense of hopelessness, when things had been turned upside down, as a 30-year-old man asking questions about my self-worth, asking questions about what it means to be a son. Now, we started free. And it wasn't just my life, it was Tammy's life too. That same month, well, she had been fired from her job in a religious organization because she was asked by the leaders at the top on a Zoom meeting, "Do you think being gay is a sin?" And she says, "I do not think being gay is a sin, and I do not think God is opposed to my gay friends." And they said, "Well, you are being let go effective immediately." That year in 2018, a very interesting year. Some of y'all know I did 6 funerals that year that were drug and alcohol related of young people. And then my stepdad walking out in February of that year, and I haven't talked to him since that day. And all this happens, and why did we start free? I mean, why make the biggest career move? Why make the biggest move in our lives as a family during this season? And here's what I can tell you. In that moment, this very subconscious thing happened. And I couldn't see it then. You can only see it in looking back. But it was that internal, that small voice, that inner wisdom, the God voice, whatever you choose to call it, saying, "Ryan, everything in life is so fragile. It is all so temporary. So why not go and do the thing I have invited you to do? What do you got to lose?" And y'all, here's what I know about hope. Hope can set you free, but you must first become hopeless. Do you know, for a long time, I've been absolutely fascinated by what they call the wisdom literature in the Bible. Books like Psalms and Proverbs and this beautiful book called Ecclesiastes, all in the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible. I've been fascinated with it because the way I grew up like reading these things, and the way I see many people read these books, is we approach it just like we would a self-help book. Like, tell me how to get happy and hopeful in my life, and I'll read this book. But do you know, when you start reading it, so much of it says the exact opposite. So much of it reads like this: here's how to get sad and hopeless so that you might actually have a real chance at finding hope. I mean, y'all, Ecclesiastes, this book, the writer begins his book with these words. Check it out. See if this sounds hopeful to you. Meaningless. Meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Do you think it's meaningless? What do people gain from all their labors at which they toil under the sun? 2 chapters later, chapter 3, he keeps going. All have the same breath. Humans have no advantage over animals. Everything is meaningless. There he goes again. All go to the same place. All come from the dust, and to dust all return. Does that sound hopeful to you? I mean, this is how he starts his book. And do you know what the brilliance is in Ecclesiastes? The brilliance is this. However bad you think it is, it's worse. Like your starting place is, oh my word, we're all going to die maybe soon. And man, if you can accept that, now you've actually got a fighting chance at finding some hope. I mean, y'all look at it. Look at this beautiful gift of life we've been given. And isn't it true? Hope starts to seep in when you realize it's all so fragile. All of it, the whole thing, it's baked into the fabric of life. It's all so temporary. And the Hebrew word in Ecclesiastes, because keep in mind it's written in the Hebrew language, the Hebrew word in Ecclesiastes for this is vapor. Your life is but a vapor. You're here and then you're gone. And man, if you can get that, I mean, you're way ahead of the game. I mean, if you can get that, you actually have a chance at hope. You actually have a chance at joy. You see, hope can set you free, but you first must become hopeless. You know, one of my favorite movies of all time is the 1994 prison drama film, The Shawshank Redemption, starring Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. I'll tell you what, raise your hand if you have not seen that movie. Everyone in this room has seen this movie? Oh, this is great. So there's no spoiler alerts for you all. If you're watching online, you're going to get some spoiler alerts if you haven't seen this movie. Let me give you a little bit of the plot. So the film tells a story of the banker Andy Dufresne. Oh, and I got to say this. If you watch the movie again, watch it with a theological lens, because there is so much theological imagery in this. Andy Dufresne, initials A.D. It's a huge heads up from the filmmakers. This is going to be a redemption film, a resurrection film, a coming to new life film. And it's all over the movie, by the way. You can see it when you watch it again. So Andy Dufresne, played by Tim Robbins, he's sentenced to life in the very harsh conditions in the Shawshank State Penitentiary for the murders of his wife and his wife's lover. By the way, he was innocent. Anyone else? Can you think of someone else who was convicted, innocent, but gave up their life? Yeah, there's all kinds of theological imagery in this. So he is there for many years, sentenced to life. He meets a friend in prison, a fellow inmate. His name is Red, played by Morgan Freeman. Here's the spoiler alert if you haven't seen it for you online people. The spoiler alert is, well, eventually, Andy Dufresne, played by Tim Robbins, he breaks out of prison, he escapes, and Morgan Freeman, playing the character Red, he's eventually released from prison, and the end of the movie is the most beautiful coming back together scene. The central theme in the movie is the power of hope and the resilience of the human spirit, which I think is why this film resonates with so many people. Even if you have no experience with prison, you've never been to prison, this one resonates with so many people. It's why it's often referred to as one of the greatest films ever made. Now, Andy Dufresne, he knows something about hope and hopelessness because he's wrongly accused, wrongly convicted. And there's a scene where he's going into the prison towards the beginning of the movie, and he's stripped bare. He's stripped bare again in the movie. It's one of the most memorable scenes in the movie you might remember. For his escape, he goes through 500 yards of sewage pipes, swimming through the sewage pipes. And he comes out the other end, and he stands up in the water, bare, and it's raining, and he's standing in the open posture. It's one of the most intense and beautiful baptism scenes in all of film history. As his friend Red said, He's a man who crawled through a river of shit and came through the other side clean. And some of y'all know exactly what that's like. Now, the turning point in the movie is actually in the middle of the film where Andy Dufresne is sent down to the hole for 2 weeks, solitary confinement. 2 weeks. Something happens in the hole for Andy. He encounters hope in the hole. And when he comes out and tells his friends about it, he speaks through the imagery of music. Here's what he says to his friends right after coming out of the hole.
Hey, look who's here.
Maestro.
Hey. And you couldn't play something good, huh? Hank Williams or something?
They broke the door down before I could take requests.
Was it worth it? 2 weeks in the hall?
Easiest time I ever did.
Oh, shit. There's no such thing as easy time in the hole.
That's right, a week in the hole is like a year.
Damn straight.
I had Mr. Mozart to keep me company.
So they let you tote that record player down there, huh?
It's in here. In here. That's the beauty of music. They can't get that from you. Haven't you ever felt that way about music?
I played the main harmonica as a younger man. Lost interest in it, though. Didn't make much sense in here.
Here's where it makes the most sense. You need it so you don't forget.
Forget?
Yeah, forget that there are places in the world that aren't made out of stone, that there's something inside that they can't get to, that they can't touch. It's yours.
What are you talking about?
Hope.
Hope. Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane. It's got no use on the inside. You better get used to that idea.
Like Brooks did?
I mean, isn't it interesting? Hope is born in the darkness. It's what happens when you realize that there are places within you that no circumstance, no human being can touch, take, or steal. Deeply rooted within you. You see, the Apostle Paul in his letter to the Romans, he does this very profound thing when he wrote to them. He does this thing where he connects suffering with hope. And it's like he's showing them how hope is created within you. It is not a fleeting idea or a fleeting thought. It's actually a state of being, and it's only shaped when you allow that suffering that you've been through to work on you, to transform you. It's like the Apostle Paul is saying to the Romans, he's shaking them out of their normal way of thinking. I mean, do we need to be shaken from our normal way of thinking to be given a new perspective on our suffering? I mean, here's how the Apostle Paul puts it in the letter to the Romans. He says, we even take pride in our problems because we know that trouble produces endurance. Endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And this hope doesn't put us to shame because we don't do shame. Because the love of God has been poured out in our hearts. Man, you see how hope is a dangerous thing. Hope is a dangerous thing because hope will always ask you the most honest and uncomfortable questions. I mean, hope will come along and ask you, no matter what you've been through, has your heart been hardened? No matter what you've been through, have you given your life to cynicism? Because you are so certain that the world is just a cold, hard, dead place, and you're so certain that nothing is ever going to change. This is just the way it is. Have you given yourself to cynicism? Hope will come along and ask you, have you bought into the thinking of everyone else around the table? You see, hope can set you free, but you first must become hopeless. And if you watch the movie, If you remember the movie, you'll notice that for Andy, hope is not a way out of this world. Hope is actually a way deeper into this world. And why do I mention that? Because I can't tell you how many religious folks I've encountered along the way. In fact, I used to be one of them where we had hope, but it was always in the future. It was always a distant hope. It was always the hope that happens after you die, after you've taken your final breath, when you can be good enough to make it to the pearly gates of heaven. In fact, you might know one of the most well-known hymns that's still sung in churches to this day. I'll Fly Away, you know it? I gotta sing up here. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away. When I die on that day, by and by, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. It's always about how to get out of this world. Nothing wrong with the hymn. It's probably a beautiful song for some people, but it's always about the distant hope. What happens when you die? But you'll notice for Andy in the film, it wasn't just a distant hope. It was a hope that kept him present. It was a hope that the kind that actually humanized those who had been dehumanized. He goes on to build a prison library. He goes on to help inmates pass their high school equivalency exams. Andy's hope wasn't just a distant hope. It wasn't just a hope for his own escape. It became a collective hope. It's the kind of hope that actually saves other people from death and despair and destruction and loneliness and exhaustion and everything else. You see, something happened to Andy while he was in that hole. And what exactly happened, we don't know. It's a bit of a mystery. All we know is he came out of there. He came out of that darkness more alive, more aware. He came out of the confinement with hope. It makes no sense at all, does it? I mean, it's why hope will always be upside down thinking. It's why hope will always consist of some degree of mystery. I mean, think about it for a moment. Think about your life, the greatest moments of hope. I mean, didn't those moments happen in the darkness? Didn't they happen when you were maybe stuck up here? You didn't know what was going to happen next. And the truth is, many of you in this room, you've been through hell and you've come out on the other side with a story to tell. And you know that if you reflect on your own story, you know that hope didn't start with hope, but it actually started in a state of hopelessness. I mean, did you know in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, in the first 164 pages, the bread and butter of the book, in the first 164 pages, hope is mentioned 47 times. I mean, these pages are literally filled with hope, but it begins with hopelessness. Like this in Bill's story, page 10. When he's battling addiction and someone comes to sit with him, he describes that moment. Here it is. He had come to pass his experience along to me, if I cared to have it. I was shocked, but interested. Surely I was interested. I had to be, for I was hopeless. In the chapter, There's a Solution, page 17, it begins like this. We of Alcoholics Anonymous know thousands of men and women who were once just as hopeless as Bill. Nearly all of them have recovered. And then later in the book, the chapter titled Working with Others, page 94. Maybe you have disturbed him about the question of alcoholism. This is all to the good. The more hopeless he feels, the better. And my brothers and sisters, hope can set you free, but you first must become hopeless. I mean, that's our story, isn't it? I mean, isn't this our own story of recovery? Isn't it our story of finding hope? It begins with hopelessness. Do you remember what it was like to be so sick and tired of being sick and tired? Do you remember what it was like to be locked up in a Shawshank prison of your mind and you couldn't put down the drug, you couldn't put down the drink? And in the darkest moment, you were given the gift of a new way, and that's a bit of a mystery, isn't it? I mean, why was I given the gift of desperation? Why were you given a gift of desperation? And y'all know how many in our community, how many comrades we've lost to the brutal disease of addiction. You see, in recovery, somewhere along the way, we bump into hope. And on our best days, we have a joy and a peace that is so deeply rooted that no circumstance or no human being can come along and take, touch, or steal. And in our recovery, we don't just have a future hope. No, we have a very present hope, one that keeps us in the present world, one that actually makes the world a better place. And it's why so many of you here tonight, it's why so many of you watching online, you have given a significant portion of your life to helping and reaching out to those who are still suffering. It's what allows us to say crazy things like, today I'm a grateful alcoholic. What? Today I'm a grateful addict. What the hell does that mean? I never got that being early in recovery. I never understood it. And today I can tell you, today I'm a grateful alcoholic. And if you've been to the hole, you know it's true. Today we can say, thank God for the hole. Thank God for the darkness. Thank God for the place where hope is actually born. Thank God for the place where we can hear the music that isn't even playing. Yeah, that music. You remember what Andy said about it in the scene we just watched? He said, we need it. We need it so we don't forget. So we don't forget there are places in the world that aren't made out of stone, that there's something inside they can't get to, they can't touch. It's yours. And Red says, Andy, what are you talking about? And Andy responds with one word: hope. Don't overthink it. It saves you. It rescues you. I'll close with this. I posted this on social media last week. Some of you may have seen it. But one morning last week, it was just me and my 5-year-old boy, Bricks. We were in the car. We were riding to Free together that morning. And the thing you got to know about Bricks is some days he likes to listen to the music really loud with me. And other days, well, he just wants to talk. And this is one of the days he just wanted to talk. So I turned the music off. And I said, all right, buddy, what do you want to talk about? And he thinks about it for a minute. You know what he said? He said, Poppy, 5 years old, Poppy, how did you get the idea of starting Free? How did it come into your mind? And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of 5-year-old asks a question like this? How does anything come into your mind? I mean, how does wearing that blue shirt today come into your mind? How does anything happen in the mind? And I thought about it for a moment, and I launched into a 17-minute story filled with details and complexities. And that morning we pulled into the parking lot here in the back of Free, and I pulled into the parking spot, and I look in my rear view mirror. He's buckled in the middle seat in the back, and I said, I think that's why we started. And you know what he said to me? He said, so God helped you get sober so you could help other people. And that, my friends, is hope summarized in one sentence by a 5-year-old. You see, we need hope. Why do we need it? So you don't forget. So you don't forget the darkness. So you don't forget what the hole was like. So you don't forget what the rescue was like. We need hope. So I want to play a song for you. Any Lion and the Judah and the Lion fans out there? Judah and the Lion? Oh, a couple of you? All right. This is going to be fun because, see, they just released their new song. It's called Long Dark Night of the Soul. And man, this song, pay attention because it just hits a little differently. You know what I mean? So I want to play this song for you. You can just sit and reflect. You can close your eyes. You can watch the video. Do you, boo? And I would invite you to reflect on where is hope appearing in your life. But before you get to the hope, I would ask you, where is hopelessness appearing in your life, so that you might actually have a starting place, a chance, a real shot at hope. Here's Long Dark Night by Judah and the Lion.
once again and online, thank you again for joining us. One of my favorite parts of my job is that every single week we get to welcome a guest storyteller up into the living room. And I get to meet people throughout the community who not only give back and embody what we do here at Free, but keep doing it in different arenas. This next guest storyteller, I had the privilege of meeting through a resource fair. She works for Cross Purpose. She is the recovery director, program director, and she helps with her story give back to an entirely different demographic, which I would really hope and encourage you guys to check them out. But first, can you please welcome Jazmyn Gray up into the living room? Welcome, Jazmyn. Thank you for joining us here tonight. So I first wanted to tell you, when I sat down with Jazmyn, I kind of got short and sweet and to the point, and I kind of asked her, where does your journey of hope begin? And she pointed at such a dark chapter in her life that I had to take a minute and rewind, and I'm like, wait a minute, I need to know the backstory of that. And so Jazmyn and her backstory is actually probably the least bit of interest of her story. There's so much more to her than the backstory, but in order to kind of give you an idea of where she ended up, it's important to know where she began. So would you tell us a little bit, Jazmyn, about kind of how you grew up and bring us to your teen years?
Yeah, so I am a Denver native, for those of you from Denver. Woo, yeah. I grew up in Commerce City, and I was raised by my grandparents. And for the first 6 years of my life, I was in and out of foster care. And at the age of 10, I started drinking alcohol and experimenting with different substances. By the age of 14, I was homeless and I was a meth addict. Onward, I went to juvie, and then I had my two children. And that kind of sums up my teen years. And you know, it wasn't until, and that's my backstory, but the story that I want to share with you guys today is really about when I had a heartbreak that I just felt like I couldn't come back from. So it starts it starts in December of 2014 when it was Christmas Eve, and I had a boyfriend, and we had a son together, and I had my daughter, and you know, during Christmas, everybody's so happy. We're opening gifts, and it's Christmas dinner and all of that stuff. But I had noticed that he didn't have gifts for the children, which concerned me, and not even so much as a card for me. So I got very suspicious. And I went and I checked his phone. I used his, you know, he was sleeping, so I took his fingerprint, and I did the whole the whole sneaky thing, and from there, like, I was just reading about the women that he was meeting. He actually had paid for an orgy at a hotel that happened a couple days prior, and I was just reading through this stuff, all of this, his emails and secret emails, and something in me just cracked. Because we had been there before. We'd been trying, right? And I went to my neighbor's house next door, and I was like, hey, you have some meth? And she was like, yeah. And I had been sober for more than 2 years at this point. And I went, and she like gave me meth like freely. I didn't have to pay for it. And I just went and I started, you know, smoking meth in the closet. And I devised a plan. By morning, all of his stuff was packed up nicely. I'm talking clothes, signed jerseys, PS3, PS4, everything that was his was in a box, with the word free across it in the driveway. And, we laugh, but I'm actually a little bit like, that sucks that I did that, but that's where I was at, And he wakes up, and everybody in the neighborhood is in there, they're grabbing his stuff, and he leaves. But that marked the day of a downward spiral in my life. I kept using, and I kept using. And before I knew it, within a 6-month time frame, my house had been shot up. I lost my business. I had a cleaning business, a successful cleaning business. I lost my cars. I had 2 cars. And what really, really broke me was that I lost my children, my 2 children.
So in that year, or those 2 years that you were sober, you had built quite a nice life for yourself. And then you were still, what you found was acting alcoholically or like an addict, even though you didn't have substances in your system. And that was the kind of the final straw that sent you, and you're just like, okay, game on. And then after that, so once your downward spiral started happening, you were saying that you were partaking in crime during the day, but then at this point, then you went full blown, right? So can you tell us a little bit between the spiral, losing everything, and how that ended up in your 4-year prison sentence?
So thinking back to after the spiral, I was committing a lot of crimes, doing home invasion, auto theft, you name it, and I was in and out of jail. I would go to jail, get arrested. I'd be out for 6 days or maybe 3 months or something like that, and go back. But all of this was like catching charges to get ready for a prison sentence. And on one of those times where I was released, it was like all of this betrayal. Like I thought that my life was built on like these morals somehow. I had friends who I would get high with, and I actually started seeing the betrayal of like the lies that they told. I was beaten and left in an alley. I almost died from hypothermia, and there was a lot that happened in that space. But one day, I was walking, and I just walked into 7-Eleven on Colfax and Sheridan. You guys know that famous 7-Eleven? I walked in there, and I asked the cashier for a pair of scissors. I cut off all of my hair, and my hair was really long. And I just left the hair like in the bathroom. I tried to flush it, didn't work out. I didn't care. I left walking, and I started talking to God. And I was like, God, why is it that I hear that you're changing all of these people's life? Why is my life like this? And in a very audible voice, he answered me, like, what do you want? And I was like, I want my kids back. I want a life. I want this. I just started naming all of the things that I wanted. And, in that moment, it was like it dawned on me of like, yes, I'm willing to go to prison. I am willing to do all of the things that I need to do, just change my life and change me. And from there, I wound up actually getting arrested just a couple of hours later. And I made sure that I went to Denver County because I was arrested by bondsmen. And they sent me straight to prison from Denver. And as I'm walking the prison yard, I feel like everything that I knew about me was just like falling off of me. And I just felt like lost. That's the best words that I can use to explain of how I felt. I didn't know who I was. People would approach me, and I would be so confused. I didn't remember them or their faces, but I would act like I did because I didn't know if I was safe or not. And then probably about 3 months into my prison stay, I actually wound up in a cell with a cellmate that we were cellmates for 9 months to a year and a half or something like that. And she's actually here tonight. But in this cell, I just kept hearing her, we didn't talk for probably the first week maybe. But I kept hearing her pray, and she would study, and she would pray, and she would study. And I finally asked her, like, what are you doing? Like, what is that? And she actually laid out for me, like, this is how you study the Bible. This is how I'm studying. This is what you can do. And, she helped me learn how to pray, and she guided me to God. I told her my story, and she was like, yeah, you need God, you need Jesus. And she helped me on that journey. If it wasn't for the one psalm, one proverb a day, and then doing that for months on end and then going deeper, right? That actually really shaped this process in which I began to feel God putting the pieces of me back together, telling me that I am enough, that I am his child, right? That I am this, and I am stronger and greater than my circumstances. And it was actually the beginning of where I could start to take accountability for the choices that I made to get to where I was at. And if it hadn't been for me being in God's word, in the Bible, and learning to build a relationship, I don't know if I didn't have that knowledge of grace, that I wouldn't have fell deeper into it. So having that hope of God's grace, knowing all the things that I've done, and knowing that he answered my prayer that day when I hit my knees, and I was like, please change me. That is the beginning journey of hope for me when I started to recognize and feel that within me.
And I wouldn't say a lot of people find hope when they go to prison. So what was so amazing about that, though, is once you got out, can you tell us a little bit about how such an impact that your roommate had on you, and what that change brought in you, and then what you do today to kind of help bring that to those who are in similar circumstances once they get out of incarceration?
So when I was released from prison, I continued to study. I continued to pray, and it actually brought me to a place of cross purpose, where I believe that those of you that know anything about cross purpose, they have a wonderful program, and they pay you to go to school there, and it just sounds like a scam. But it is not. So, but I believed that I would be able to get through that program. And that seed that was planted inside of me of reading and hope, and how it could change and transform me, kept growing when I was going through the Cross Purpose program. A woman that was in my class actually got shot leaving a family gathering, and I just saw all these strangers come around her and pour her family and pour love into them and do a funeral, and they were just perfect strangers. There's no rhyme or reason, and that really changed me. And that's when I was like, you know what, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to be that person for other people. So today at Cross Purpose, I manage our recovery programs, which includes Live Different Recovery that meets on Friday nights at Cross Purpose in Park Hill. And I actually get to be a hope dealer. I get to see and be a part of the redemption and transformation, and see what's possible and share what's possible for what I believe is possible with others who have experienced hopelessness, that pit in your stomach that just says, it just keeps going, like that bottomless mimosa that you could get anywhere, right? But it feels like that in a terrible way, because it's like you can't escape it. But that's what I get to do, and I get to experience and be a part of, and be a part of the redemptive edge in people's lives, and that's meaningful to me, and I'm grateful. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And then in closing, someone who is in that pit right now, and they have yet to find the hope. They still are in that hopeless state, and they just don't quite know where to go or what to turn to. Can you offer a little bit of your experience, strength, and hope to that person who's still out there, and what words you can offer to them?
Yeah, so there is no right way to say what people need to hear all the time. But something that worked for me is a scripture that I also want to share with you guys that I just held on to. And it actually goes really well with the song that Ryan shared with you guys tonight. But it's Isaiah 9:2, and it's, "The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light, and those who dwelt in a land of deep darkness, on them a light will shine." And that's, to me, is one of God's greatest promises of you are going through this, and it gets worse before it gets better, but there's a brighter day, and you can be the light. You can choose to be the light.
Thank you so much, Jazmyn. And you're going to stick around after, so if you guys want to learn anything more about Jazmyn, also about Cross Purpose, I know we do have a flyer for it, but on June 28th, Cross Purpose has Summer Jam. It's a sober community event for the whole entire family. Lots of resources, games, food, prizes, silent disco.
And it's free.
And it's free.
Free.
And you get to learn some more. It's also on a Friday night, I believe, right?
Yes, it is.
Yep. So it doesn't even affect. You can go there on Friday, come here on Saturday. And if you guys, thank you so much for the map. If you guys have any other questions, you can find that on our page as well. But please stick around and come talk to Jazmyn and check out Cross Purpose. And let's all give it up for Jazmyn. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jazmyn. Thank you, Karie. Thank you for being with us all night tonight and sharing your story with us. It's good to have you here. All right, y'all, the way we close things down, if you're new with us, the way we close things down on a Saturday night is very similar to how we begin. We begin with celebrations. We close with what we call heartaches. Maybe you've been carrying a burden this week and you've kept it all to yourself. You haven't put words to it. And I always remind us that, man, we don't have to do that. We don't have to carry burdens alone. It's why we have community. We have a God who hears the cries of the people. So we take 3 minutes for this. If you've been carrying a burden and you want to put some words to it to get it off your shoulders, if you want prayer, encouragement, some lifting upness, well, I encourage you to raise your hand up. And we have a mic on this side and a mic on this side. And just raise your hand up. And again, if you're online on Facebook, YouTube, drop them in the comments and we'll join you there. Let's take 3 minutes.
Hi, everyone. My name's Debbie. And this last week, it's been really kind of tough for me. I struggle with an anxiety disorder. My anxiety was all over the place. Last week, I went on a trip, and flying makes me nervous, and just being at the airport, and I just really got crazy, and I was just crying this afternoon, and I'm so glad I pulled myself together to show up. So I wore a pink dress because I thought maybe people wouldn't notice. I've been crying, had swollen eyes, but I'm glad to be here tonight. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Debbie, and prayers for you with anxiety.
My name is Marjorie, and I just wanted to pray. My uncle passed away last month after a lifetime battle with alcoholism, and I just want to pray for his family, my aunt, my cousin. They're having a really hard time right now, so if you guys could just lift them up.
All right, lifting them up, Marjorie. You too.
Hi, I'm Pamela. This is just weighing heavy on my heart. My sister's son is getting married next Friday. Long story short, everyone in the family is invited except my son. And the reason I was given for this is because there's an open bar and they're concerned about him. My son has been clean for 2.5 years. The fact that they mentioned an open bar really hurt because it showed me how much they didn't know, because he's not an alcoholic. That never was a problem. And I just think maybe a lot of folks can relate to being dealing with ignorance in their family and lack of knowledge and education. And it just really hurt my heart. So needless to say, my partner and I are not going. I just think as a mom, I need to support my son. And then the part that I'm celebrating is he and I are going to meet in Vegas on Monday and see Lady Gaga instead.
There you go.
So.
That's a good trade-off. All right. Weddings to Lady Gaga. Prayers for you and your son.
So 4 years ago, I got into a relationship with somebody, and we were dating the entire time, spent every waking moment with each other, every sleeping moment, and then he goes to jail. And then when he goes to jail, the relationship goes on a downhill spiral. And now he has just finally been released this past week, and I am realizing that I have to start the process of heartache and the heartbreak because he's not going to change. And so that's what I'm dealing with.
Yeah. Heavy stuff. Prayers
Okay, I have one prayer. Sorry,
Yeah.
Rachel, alcoholic. I told my son Ryder that I would pray for his father every Saturday from now on. He's still suffering his addiction, and tomorrow's Father's Day, so please pray for him. His name is Darren Patrick.
Lifting up Darren, prayers for him. And we got one more. Layla.
If we could just say prayers for my daughter and my grandbaby. I haven't seen them since my grandbaby was born. And my relapse kind of set me back, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah. I love how you just said that. I'm hopeful.
One more. Andrew,
right.
Hey, Andrew, alcoholic. My really good friend Jeff checked into detox a couple of weeks ago. Should be out now, but hasn't been responsive. So just lift him up. Prayers for Jeff. Thanks.
Yeah. Prayers for Jeff. All right. And we got one more. All right.
Yeah, I got two. One is I didn't share that my daughter. I have custody of my daughter again, and she just will not go outside for anything. And it's summertime, and it actually makes me very sad, and I'm struggling as a parent. But the second thing is that Summer Jam we shared with you guys earlier is in 2 weeks. And we need volunteers. Like, we need 30 volunteers to make that event work. So if you guys are interested, please connect with me after the service. I would love to chat with you if you'd love to sign up. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jazmyn. Jerome, you want to join me up here for a moment? Jerome, who is leading our golf tournament on Monday. It's going to be so much fun at the Arrowhead. It's going to be awesome. All right, we're going to join our online community and their heartache. Let's see what they have to say. You want the first one?
Yeah, I'll take number one.
All right.
Oh, it's Christy.
Yeah.
Prayers for my beautiful daughter. She's in the hospital for a couple days. Also, prayers for all those fathers on earth to celebrate with tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Christy.
Christy, lifting up your daughter, too. Tammy filled me in a little bit earlier, so prayers for you and the family. Jake says, my friend Daniel drank himself into a coma last night. Jake, man, lifting up Daniel and his friends and family and you. I'm glad you're with us tonight, man. Prayers for him.
Giannis, I'm asking for a prayer for my mom. Found out she had a stroke. She was moved to an assisted living facility this morning. We have a strong relationship. We don't have a strong relationship, but I could have lost her, but still stayed sober. Giannis, lifting you up. That's a big deal. We're here for you.
Yep. Prayers for you, Giannis. Kay says, asking for prayers for both my parents. They have COVID and high fevers. All right, Kaylin, lifting up your parents. Prayers for them. Let them know we're praying for them, too. All right, thank you, Jerome. Appreciate you being up here. See you Monday. All right, y'all. Listen, if you call this place your home, your people, your tribe, your family, your community, whatever you call us here, whatever you call you, well, we like to take the opportunity to remind you that we do rely on your generous giving here. People ask all the time, well, how's this place funded? How's it funded, everything that happens? Well, you the people. That's how we're funded. So we also like to take every week and say thank you for those of you that have made it giving a spiritual practice in your life. You've made generosity a sacrificial practice in your life. And I want you to know it makes a huge difference here. And I know some of you online people, you've never been to Free. You live in other states. You've never set foot in this building. and you give faithfully, and I hope you know how big of a difference it makes. There's a few different ways to give if you want to participate in giving. First, you can download the app, Free Recovery Community, and you can hit the giving button. All our content's on the app, by the way. You can give weekly, monthly, you can give one time, however you want to do it. We're grateful for it all. It all makes a difference. Or you can go straight to the website, freerecoverycommunity.com, and you can hit the giving button there, do the same exact thing. Or, of course, there are the 2 kiosks, one outside this door, one outside these doors, for you checks and cash type people who give. That way, those boxes are for you. And there is the dip jar, where you can take out your credit card and you can dip it into the dip jar. It's just outside these doors on the table, and you dip it in, you dip it out, it lights up, and you get to feel good about your giving because it's kind of cool, it lights up. You can't give more than $20 or less than $20. It's set at $20. So if you want to give $20, well, don't forget to hit the dip jar on your way out. Makes a big difference. Thank you all for being a part of it. Shall we? Oh, I need to mention one other thing. Carrie's giving me the eyeball like this. If you're like the person who says, man, I want to help. Is there anything else? I don't have a penny to my name. Cool. Here's what I'd ask you to do. Jump on Google, look for Free Recovery Community, and do a simple thing like write a Google review. Give a 5-star rating. It makes a difference here, and we'll say more about that in the future, but I think there's like 99 reviews so far. The more, the better. So if you have a 5-star rating to give, jump on Google and make that happen, and we would be most grateful. Shall we go out with a prayer? Yes. I would encourage you, invite you to just open up the hands, open palms. Yeah, it's just a simple sign of openness. You're open for a new way, a new thing, new perspective. Maybe you don't have all the answers. Maybe you don't have all the right answers. But you're open to the God who is always moving and breathing, living in your midst, in you, through you, and all around you. So just take a big, deep breath. And if you don't know the Serenity Prayer, it'll be on your screen and we'll pray it together. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. And grace and peace to you all. See you next time.